Sup guys, today we will be talking about the sorcery, the mages in AFK Arena, and I will tell you which are the good mages and how far you should build them, like how high their signature item should be, what kind of gear, what kind of furniture, and all that stuff. And maybe, as the video will go by, I will move on to ASMR style, depending on how my vocal cords will be. They still hurt, they need like 3 more days of rest, but I can't. I want to make content for you, and yeah, hopefully they will be okay. So yeah, let's go. So yeah, the first one will be Safiya. The Safiya doesn't have really high requirements because her main role will be the spectral disruption, so we'll get attack boost, and enemies standing at the backline, at your backline, will have their attack reduced. So her main role is buffing, and we will have 0 signature item requirement, which is really weird and rare, 0 gear requirement, tier 3 gear requirement, and we'll only have 3 furniture pieces, so that means that spectral disruption will last for 15 more seconds. So yeah, her main role in the teams is this. If you want to use her more to the full potential with all the buffs and everything, yes, you might want to build her, but usually there are better options for that. Next one is Skriath. Now for this guy, it's totally opposite. You want him maxed out, so all the gear at tier 3, if you can get it, all the signature item maxed out, because that will allow him to do the percentage of the current health damage, ignoring all the enemy defense and all that. So that is really useful. 3 pieces will allow him to be more effective in the pool composition. 9 pieces will allow the sandstorm to be way better, like it will give the movement speed buff and debuff to the enemies, so that will be useful. And Skriath is really versatile hero that you use in very many game modes, so investing a lot in him will be a good option if you want to use him to the full potential. Now we have Lorsan, the next guy. The Lorsan's main role again is sort of debuffing the enemy, so we want him for the inner side that will improve our ultimate damage, and the gale force that will link 2 enemies together, so they will take more damage basically. The shield is another positive note, but you mean those are 2 main skills that he is being used for. Now as for the gear, he doesn't have any tier 3 requirements, so you can totally relax in terms of upgrading his gear. And as for the signature item, first one is 5 and second is 15-0, so you don't need anything invested in him, you just want haste bonus from the signature item. Furniture isn't a thing for him, not really needed, because I mean, Wind Ward, it's useful, but it doesn't affect the gameplay that much, so if you can spend extra you might, but only after you build other heroes. Now the next mage, Pippa. Pippa is really used for a lot of chaos on the battlefield, so pretty good hero. As far as the requirements go, the gear isn't a thing. Signature item, we have 20 plus 20 milestones that will allow teleported ally to be immune to all damage for 5 seconds, so she is mainly used in the Thor and Cheese team composition, and when she will teleport Thor out, he will be invincible, so that will be really useful. As for the furniture, 3 pieces will help her a little bit as well, which will basically make the ultimate skill she used first in the battle way better, and she will use the same skill all the time, so that kinda makes it more efficient if you get the right skill that you need. So yeah, pretty low investment in order to be useful. Next one is Oden, and oh my god, the Oden needs all the power he can get because he can be so awesome. So for tier 3 gear, he needs all the tier 3 he can get. For the signature item, you can start with plus 20, that will be enough already. Plus 30 will make it even better because that will allow him to do even more damage, and the buffs will be stronger, so pretty cool. And furniture, 3 pieces pretty much a must, so the enemy struck by the void lightning will have the energy recovered lowered in the following 5 seconds. That's a no-brainer, he will do a lot more CC like that. And 9 pieces, void lightning will kinda be passively used, and it will target the enemy with the highest energy, so it will prevent strong enemies who are high on energy from using the ultimates earlier. Really cool. So yeah, 39 full gear that's a beast. He does insane damage if he can build up, so yeah, you want to build him. Next one is Zaphrael, and he's the only Celestial we have on the list today. For the requirements, his helmet and the armor are tier 3 priorities, but as for his build, he can be useful at 0 signature item and furniture because he can jump in the enemy front line and disrupt them. Next step will be building 9 furniture because that will allow him, well, 3 furniture is good as well, but 9 pieces, 2-second stuns when enemy deal damage to Zaphrael, and this skill shall stun its target even if the damage was completely mitigated by the enemy. So yeah, that's pretty cool. That will allow him to do a lot of stun on the enemies and disrupt the enemy lines after the jump. Insane, guys, insane. But 30 signature item will allow Thunderstorm to target 1 additional enemy target, so that will help with the damage and more disruption as well. And yeah, overall, if you build him up properly, he can be quite a beast. Now let's move on to HyperGN heroes. Mehira here, my favorite hero in AFK Arena. Oh yeah. For the Mehira, like, the minimum investment is 0-0. She can be useful at Elite Plus early on in the charm teams. It works. But as you progress through the game, you need her to be more tanky, more healthy, more alive, more hasty. So that's why you will have to actually build her up. First thing you want to do is build 30 signature item. That will allow her to recover energy when she is on the full health and getting those energy buffs, I mean health buffs, health steal. So that will make your energy regen faster and will add additional life leech, so she will survive longer. And the 9 pieces will allow the minions she summons to be stronger, and after 4 attacks they will get 100% additional damage, and when sacrificed by Mehira she will get their health, so that will allow her to be even more healthy and do more damage with the minions. Now Khatar, as a baseline you want him to be at 30-0, so you want his signature item to be fully built up, and that will allow his normal attacks to freeze enemies on critical for 3 seconds and increase the duration of most negative debuffs by 60, so it will be not 3 seconds but 4 something, and that will already allow him to do more crowd control on the battlefield. 9 furniture pieces is the next step of his upgrade, and that will allow him to freeze enemies with the glacial shards, and any enemies frozen by one of the Khatar skill will receive 15% more damage, which means damage buff for your entire team. So really powerful buff for your team to get enemies down faster. As for the gear, you want him to get the tier 3 boost if you can, to increase his haste basically, so he will be able to use his skills faster. Now we move on to dimensional heroes, and the first one is Ainz all gold. For this guy the minimum investment is 30 and 9, so 30 signature item and 9 furniture. I used him before that and he was pretty good, so I don't think it's that crazy. He is strong even at the low levels without a fully upgraded signature item and furniture, but if you really want him to be effective, you want to get all that, because the signature item will allow his ultimate to do even more damage, so that's pretty useful to one-shot enemies with the ultimate, and the furniture will allow to his skill the goal of all life is death to take effect after 15 seconds into the battle, and if you can time your manual ultimate after that skill, you will most likely destroy the enemies in one shot. So this skill is a lifesaver because it will take 55% of the current enemy health, just imagine. So the enemy will be left with 45% of the health, and with his strong ultimate he will take it all off. There is also a recommendation to build him to 35 signature item, which I won't recommend until you have done everything else, because that will give him additional stats, additional crit, but the price will be insanely high, so I wouldn't recommend it. But building him up to the full 39 is a really good idea, and you want him to get all full tier 3 gear, because that will improve his damage and survivability, and this guy can do wonders when he is in your team. So if you didn't get him yet, get him through the garrison and use him. And the last on the list today, but not least, Leonardo is one of the recent additions to the dimensional team, and surprisingly his damage can be kinda crazy. I'm sorry. So the minimum investment for this guy will be 9 furniture, because that will allow his work of art skill to do additional 45% received damage on the enemy for 8-second debuff, which will, well, that's crazy debuff. Moreover, 3 pieces bonus will allow him to recover additional 10 energy points per second for every enemy covered in paint, and that's usually like most of the enemy team, so it's at least 40 energy per second for the duration of the spell. Really, really nice. His Renaissance cannon damage can be quite crazy as well, so some why that skill is just doing crazy damage, and you can use him not only as a buffer of your team damage using the work of art, but also as a damage dealer himself. And for the last step of his build, you want to build his signature item to plus 30, that will give him some magical resist, and while plus 20 bonuses increase the damage of the cannon based on the distance from Leonardo, plus 30 will allow him to increase his survivability greatly. So when Leonardo triggers evacuation as a result of receiving damage, the damage he receives shall not exceed 10% of his max health, and that allows you to put this mage on the front line, and after the evacuation, if you get him to a plus 30 engraving, he will use Renaissance Cannon straight away, which will buff his damage a bit more. So a really cool combinations for this guy, and I recommend building him up as well if you can, if you have him. So right guys, that's it for the Mage Sorcery breakdown for the gear, signature item, and furniture investments that you want to do. You want to get all those heroes, to be honest, so there is no like the best heroes out here other than Ainz, because Ainz is the best hero, and Mehira because she's so sexy and hot. But yeah, you want to get most of those heroes. Maybe Zaphrael might be a little bit too hard and not really high requirement for you, and you want to build your heroes properly for the sake of the most game modes. Let me know in the comments what you think about this guide, and if you have your own suggestions as well, write it over there. While you're going to the comments, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends and guildies, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any new videos, and hit the bell button. That way you won't miss any new stuff. You can also check the pinned comment and the video description for additional links. We have more AFK Arena guides there, more links to the Discord, by the way, which you want to join. We have social media there and a lot of useful stuff. You will definitely find something useful there. So yeah guys, thank you very much for watching. That's about it for now. До свидания.